Alrighty, here we go. My name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast, and I just got done having an unbelievable conversation with this guy named Shane Fichter. He was an MMA fighter, almost made it to the UFC. He was right there, but more importantly, what you'll figure out from this guy is he's overcome some serious shots. He's been down. He's been down for the count. Everything from drug addiction to physical harm, and he's had deaths in his life and all these terrible things. And take a guess what he does now. He is a motivational speaker. He is a coach. He is a mentor. He helps people get through very difficult shit. It was an awesome conversation, and in the end, I like the guy. Like, we're friends. He now has my personal cell number, and we're like going to be shooting pictures back and forth, and shit like that. Anyway, here it is in its entirety, my conversation with Shane Fichter. All right, I got a big green R. Is that improvement?
Oh,
there he is. I got you.
Sorry about that, man.
That's all right, man.
So the first confusion was like, you scheduled this all through you know what I mean? After that seminar, you scheduled. So I was thinking like he wants to do a coaching call with me. I'm like, then I was like, now I'm getting it. We're doing that podcast, so that's perfect.
Yeah. So what are you working on today, man? What are you doing?
Doing some posts, selling a business, and that's been extremely uncomfortable, but okay, it's okay. Like, I got these 3 other guys that were partners, and now I'm selling my 25% of the thing that I created to this guy Ches, and it's just super like weird and uncomfortable feeling, kind of walking away from something like that. But
if you built it, I get it.
It is, but it's good because I don't want to do drywall for the rest of my life. I was put on this earth to do more than that, and I know it. And yeah, man, coaching business has been killing it. Everything's just starting to really flourish in it. We're getting ready to launch a group coaching program here in the middle of February. So yeah, man, it's been good, dude. And
I didn't know you did drywall. I totally get it, man. I still paint houses and build decks, mostly because I like to, and I run a recruiting business. But that's how I pay to be able to do this, which is what I want to do. It sounds like you're kind of in that same situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I own this. I own a Kava bar, and then and I'm really passionate about coaching and motivational speaking. And what's crazy is that with the Kava bar, and we'll get into that in the story, but I guess. But what happened was I took that heavy shot to the head and ended up having to retire from MMA, and all my goals and shit were taken right out from underneath me. So I came back and was like, just started a business. And at that time, I had never started like a real profitable business. So I was pretty passionate about it at first because it was just starting a business. Like, I was passionate about that, like becoming a business owner.
About the idea of it. Yeah, it's pretty exciting at the beginning.
Yeah. Then I get in here and I'm like, how the hell did I end up here? I hate drywall. You know what I mean? So I got this Kava bar, which it's just like all people, right? The whole Kava bar idea and everything about it or around it is all just like, for me anyways, being the owner and like the mouth of the whole place and the face of the whole place is just talking to people. And then, coaching and motivational speaking meshes just so well with that.
It does. Yeah. When you got a group that you're trying to lead and of course that's part of your job.
Yeah. And the community of people that have been coming in, and now I'm actually because what I was doing was I was taking, anyways, that all like meshes real well together. And then I had this drywall business sticking off to the side. So I'm now getting rid of the rest of that, and I'm going to keep 3% just for creating the thing. You know what I mean? But yeah,
residual. That's good, man.
Yeah. And then like I've been using Kava and Kratom this whole time for coaching. Like, I would meet clients down there, get them drinking Kava, and that opens them up to talk, makes them want to talk more.
There you go.
So now I'm like promoting it and everything. I'm like, all right, I'm using Kava in my coaching sessions. Like, when people come up and do a session with me, I have them drink Kava first,
So tell me about Kava, dude. It's your opportunity to do a little sales pitch here. I'm not real familiar with it.
Okay. So Kava is a plant from Fiji, Tonga, Hawaii, any of the South Pacific Islands. It's a ceremonial drink. They would do what they do traditionally is they take the plant out of the ground, they grind up the root, and then they would strain it with water, and they would shoot it in a coconut shell. Well, the kava lactones that are in kava will lower your anxiety levels and give you the social, bubbly, talkative feeling that alcohol would give you.
Yeah, without alcohol.
No drunken impairedness. You're actually more focused and have better cognitive thinking when you drink it, but it targets the same endorphins in your brain that alcohol does. So,
awesome.
And it saved. I mean, in a way, it's changed my life forever.
Well, that's a good opportunity to tell kind of your story, dude. That's why I reached out to you after I figured out who you were and how you got to where you are. You have that one picture. You're doing your marketing right, man. That hooked me. Where you got, it shows you back when you were into the drugs and stuff, and then it shows you as a fighter. Now it shows you where you are now. If you would go through that briefly, my viewers are gonna love to hear your story, dude.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah, go after it.
Sure.
Don't be brief. I don't give a shit. I want to hear every detail.
So, I wasn't sure if you were already recording or how you wanted to do it.
I recorded from the very beginning, so I'll edit it up.
All right,
as we
sweet.
wish.
You go pretty raw with these, huh? I love that.
Yeah, I do. Man, I don't edit them if I don't have to.
Right. Yeah, there's no reason to do that, man. All right, so I'll just shut that door, please. I'll just get you the whole scoop here. So, I was raised in Redding, California, and my mom was a drug addict my whole life, and her whole life actually too. And she, she was very, one thing my mom, I feel like, did do right was she communicated with me. She always upfront with me about everything that's going on. Once I found out that she did drugs, she was pretty more upfront about that part of it. And then my dad committed suicide when I was 13.
Wow.
And so,
at a very important age, hey? That's, oh, shit.
Yeah. And see, my mom left my dad when I was about 2 or 3. Okay. Because he wouldn't settle down, and he was a cocaine dealer. He was he raced speedboats. He was just a partier, biker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he didn't want to settle down. So my mom left him when I was about 2 or 3, and then I called him when I was 13 to try to talk to him. And when he heard my name, he ended up hanging up the phone. And he actually had a new family. I think he didn't want his wife and them to know who I was. And so I called him back and just cussed him out, you know what I mean? And then, honestly, it's crazy, but about 6 months later, he had committed suicide. He had died. This is about the time where I started partying, started smoking weed, drinking. And
then at that age, that's that kind of transition age from being happy with being a kid to all of a sudden now you got those hormones and stuff, and now you care what people think, so you're going to do some shit to fit in.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I actually experienced that wholeheartedly. Some of us addicts would be, when they first started using, that's when they found themselves, they would say, right. And for me, man, that was Vicodin. When I first took my first Vicodin at 17, I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is
wow.
And it was really messed up feeling. But and then I just kind of stayed in the closet, though. Used pills, worked to help me work longer. And I did have a good work ethic from my uncle. My mom, kind of dumped me at my uncle's house when I was 12. And my uncle always made me work for what I wanted. And then,
That's
he
a
was
good father figure right there.
Yeah, and he's ruthless. He taught you lessons to the extreme, though. I'm not gonna say that. I remember one time, man, we were digging a trench to lay some pipe in, and I was spaced out, not paying attention. And he's like, Shane. And I was all spaced out. So finally, he just whacks me in the head with a shovel, and he goes, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there." He's like, "See what happens when you're not paying attention on the construction site?"
Hey, man, that's dad logic. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And but man, that guy changed my life. I mean, he did. If it wasn't for him, I would have probably been worthless. And I kept that whole thing up, partying though too, right? I'd party on the weekends, dabble with coke and meth and stuff like that. But then when I turned 25, that's when I started shooting up. That's when I started shooting up opiates. And that's when everything started spiraling out of control.
Anything happened at 25? What do you think kind of was the impetus for that shift? Because I know that's when you get there, you kind of don't come back from it. Not usually. You're one of the lucky ones, hey?
Yeah. For me, it was being sick. So I was living in Bozeman, Montana, and in Bozeman, Montana at this time, every drug that I wanted or pill that I wanted wasn't accessible. Okay.
Okay.
Well, you have an opiate called Dilaudid. Okay.
I know what it is.
And that pill, you don't get the same effect as you do when you eat it that you do when you do IV. So you don't feel it near as much at all. It's crazy. And so a guy talked me into it. I was dope sick, and I had taken Dilaudid before, and it just didn't do the trick for me when I ate it or sniffed it. Mm-hmm. So he goes, "Oh, you got to do it like this." And that's what hooked me. And, at first I kept it in the closet, didn't let anybody see my track marks or anything like that. But there was a point where I just didn't give a shit anymore. I didn't care who knew. And that's when really everything just started going to hell. I was selling drugs, packing a gun, driving places and bringing it and going and just doing stupid stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I was 28, I had my first overdose, and it was just going lower and lower and lower. And like my whole life was just going lower, lower, lower. And I just in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. And then
for drug stuff, or were you doing stuff, if you don't mind me asking, outside of the drugs? Were you doing stuff that?
Oh yes.
What were we going to?
Yes, I've robbed somebody at gunpoint. I've done, packing guns, just being an idiot. Yeah, for sure. But you know what? This is what's so cool too. I want to just touch on this real quick.
Go ahead, man.
These are the things, and this is why I want to reach out to other addicts and people that have done things like this. These are some of the things that made me such an awesome entrepreneur, though, right? Like my whole childhood, my mom was scheming and hustling and problem solving to help us survive, to keep her fix going. Like I always give this example. When I was 4 years old, my mom used to take me down to the liquor store. She would take a $1 food stamp when it was still a piece of paper, a ticket. And she'd have me go in and she'd go get yourself a sucker, honey, and bring mommy out the change, the dimes and nickels, because they'd still give you the coins.
They give you the cash back.
She'd have me do that 4 or 5 times. She'd go in a couple times. Next thing you know, she had enough money to get herself a beer, pack of cigarettes, or toilet paper. Problem solving. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff I grew up learning. Mm-hmm. And then also on the instance of, robbing somebody at gunpoint or kicking a door in, I'll tell you what, it's pretty easy now to start a business. Because I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Right.
I'm not going to be dead or in prison or withdrawing off of drugs.
Yeah, dude. I talk about that a lot. About that, how important it is to be comfortable with failure and how much your failures really can shape you. I take it back to just being a little kid. Most of the work that I do is with teachers and with helping men be the best men they can be. And the idea is that falling down is good. When kids skin his knee, he's going to go, oh, that hurts, but it doesn't hurt anymore. And it healed. And that wasn't so bad. So now I'm going to take a few more risks because I was comfortable with that amount of risk. So let's, you know what I mean? It starts from when you're very little, and when eventually get to the point where it's an adult mindset where, I'm going to invest in this business. I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to take this chance. And that's what makes you successful. Being afraid of that.
Yes.
Man, it really does. So, in a lot of ways, those things that happen to you, you turn them to the better. You turn them to the positive.
Man, it's so true. And a lot of those things too, us as men and humans will give ourselves limiting beliefs over those things. And I try to tell people, no, empower yourself for those things. Like
that's right.
I had some long journaling sessions where I was like, man, this is why I'm good at this. This is why I'm good at that. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome, And so get back to the story there. I end up my last stint in jail. Okay. So I get locked up. It was by my PO too. I had been on the run for my PO. And I was on the Suboxone program. It's a program they put you on to get off of pills. But it's a bullshit program because it's not a bullshit program. I don't think if you use it properly, right? Like I would wean somebody down with Suboxone and then get them off of it completely. But you know, the way they just give out that Suboxone to kind of get you taking another medication, it just, you know, they want you hooked on that thing, and it sucks. But anyways.
So it's like methadone for heroin. That's what that is.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Suboxone is like, it's like methadone, but it makes you sick if you use an opiate while on it.
Oh, okay. Boy, that makes it even harder. Wow.
Yeah. But
they're really
but also though, but it also gets you high. See, I was taking Suboxone and shooting them up. I was sniffing them. You can use them, you know, you can abuse them just like you can heroin or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually at the point at the end of my addiction there, I would get that Suboxone script. I would sell half of them. So then I would end up running out of those Suboxone. And then what would I go to? I'd go right back to methadone, heroin, or whatever else I could get my hands on.
I see.
And that's kind of the thing I was all caught up in when I got arrested by my PO. And, you know, my PO asked me, you know, like, well, what are you gonna be dirty for? And I'm like, what am I not gonna be dirty for? You know what I mean? Like
when you pee.
Was the question. And I go through a 35-day withdrawal. Okay, because, you know,
wow, that seems like a long time. I thought it was only a few days.
Yeah, so I'll break it down for you. This is another reason why that methadone and the Suboxone is so messed up. So Suboxone and methadone are like 4 weeks, man, for like a 4-week withdrawal. They're very prolonged. And so this is what I was going through. When I met my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend. She and I would love to get into how I met her and that whole thing too here. I can kind of.
I would love to hear about it, man. Yeah, we can go back to that whenever you want.
A little bit. Oh yeah, I'll circle back because so that is like a love story in itself. And you know, her being my wife and her being sober now too is kind of unheard of when in the world of recovery. And so, anyways, when I met my wife at the time, she was my girlfriend. She was an alcoholic. So then I became a drug addict and an alcoholic. So when I got arrested, I withdrawed off of alcohol, meth, heroin, methadone, Suboxone, you know, any other kind of opiate pill I could get my hands on. So the first 3 days I was withdrawing off of heroin and alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol's a couple days, right?
Yep. And then finished off the week with the heroin, maybe even 2 weeks off the heroin. Well, then the back end is all methadone, right? Methadone and Suboxone. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's not as intense as the heroin, but it's still a lot like the heroin withdrawal, and it's just longer and crappier. So,
and a lot of opportunities in there. The longer it takes, the more opportunities you have to piss on your self-discipline and quit, right?
Yeah.
The longer it takes.
For sure, man. Yes. So true. You're right. And luckily I'm in jail, right?
That helps. That helps.
I'm like, literally, dude, at this time, I'm hiding under my bed to get away from the light because they don't turn the lights off in jail. And you're not sleeping, dude. You're tossing, turning, you know, going to the bathroom, throwing up, cold sweats, restless leg syndrome. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you'd think, you know, going through a 35-day withdrawal like that, a guy would be done. But then like, I thought I was like, I'm done with this crap. I don't want that life no more. Yeah. And then they gave me the opportunity to OR, which is bail out or get, or be released on my own recognizance. Right. So okay. I had to go to a court meeting with the judge, and this is my opportunity to possibly get out. Well, my mind goes right back to the old mind, and I start jumping through the hoops to try to get out. I start telling the judge everything she wants to hear. Right. And I had this whole plan worked out. She's like, so where are you going to go stay when you get out if I let you go? And I'm like, I'm going to go stay at the Annex House. It's a sober living house here in Bozeman. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, they won't accept you unless you're released. You can't get accepted while you're incarcerated. So she's like, so what if I release you and they don't accept you? Where are you going to go stay then? And I'm like, so there's this motel in Bozeman called the Royal 7 Motel, right? Meth lab blew up underneath that place.
Okay.
And I go, oh, I'm going to go stay at the Royal 7 Motel with my girlfriend. I started to say this. And dude, for the first time, bro, I could hear the bullshit coming out of my mouth. And I just stopped.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I just stopped. And I looked at the judge. And I was like, you know what? Don't let me out of here. Because if you let me out, I'm going to go fuck this up again. And I said, just let me sit here till I go to treatment. And dude, from that day forward, there was just this I just let go, dude. I just let go. Like when you get into jail,
And I've been to jail, dude. Only overnight, but I've been to jail, so I understand. I understand the check-in procedure and all that. But go ahead, man.
Yes, yes. And like, so when you're in there though, you're so worried about what's going on outside. What's your girlfriend doing? Who's going to put money on your books? Like,
yeah,
where's all your stuff at? And like, well, luckily I didn't have anything left. My girlfriend broke up with me. I was done with her. At the time I thought I was. I wasn't done with her. I can't say it like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that.
I know what you mean.
I was alone. You know what I mean? I didn't have anything else. I had no shoes, no clothes. Luckily, Thunder was actually, that's my wife's name, and she was my girlfriend at the time. She did keep coming and visiting me, but she was just tired of me getting arrested and leaving her in the middle of, in the middle of where she was at.
Now, who wouldn't be? That's not exactly a non-red flag, right? I mean, that's not good.
Yeah. And like I said, I'll circle back in a minute and just kind of explain that situation with my wife. I let go though. I didn't have anything outside, so I didn't worry about what was going on out there. I just let go. I started working in the kitchen, started working on me, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get out of here or where it's going, but I'm along for the ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're building your base, man. That happens for everybody. I mean, I don't know a lot about drug addiction, but if you are going to be successful in anything, there's always got to be a time where you just grind, where you create this base, right? And for you, that's what it was. It sounds like to me, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you were getting used to this new way of thinking. Like you said, letting go. I recognize what I am. I see what my weaknesses are. And I'm going to put myself in a position where my weaknesses can't hurt me. Meanwhile, I'm going to work on me. And that's just brilliant adult thinking, dude. Good shit.
And yeah, man, and as addicts, we have such control issues that I was like letting go of control,
Mm-hmm.
So, so I'll swing back. So this is how I met my wife, Thunder. The most amazing woman in the world. She's the rock, man, for me. She's honestly the one that keeps my business, just everything going for me. If it wasn't for her, the support that she gives me. I mean, this woman supported me, dude. Yes, and all of that. But like, if I had, so when I met her, I was, like I said, selling drugs, just doing stupid stuff, and she was actually an alcoholic, like the most functional alcoholic I'd ever seen in my life, and she became my partner in crime though. Like she was my getaway driver. She was my, we were just inseparable once we started.
She loved you, man. That's good stuff. I mean, not what she was doing, but that's the kind of behavior when I talk to a man and I counsel him, I always say this, that, don't listen so much to what she says. Watch what she does, man. What she does for you, her behaviors. Yes. That's how you can tell where her heart is. You know what I mean? That's
so true too. Because man, this woman would support me and back me with some of the stupidest freaking ideas. Like, like let's load the car up with a bunch of marijuana and we're just going to drive it over here. And like, you know what I mean? It's like, but anyways, like, but now, man, it's the same, but just different. So now I'm like, hey, we're going to open this bar. It's going to be Kava. And she's just like, okay. You know what I mean? She's like right there supporting me with me, like, and it's just now it's for more responsible, bigger, better things. You know what I mean?
And legal things. That's good, man.
Illegal crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I met her, like I said, she's the most functional alcoholic I'd ever met. And I then became a drug addict and an alcoholic. And see, about 3 weeks after meeting me, and like I said, me and her were like inseparable and we were doing all these other stupid stuff. I end up getting a phone call from my ex-wife, and she's like, I know you did it. The cops are here asking questions and I'm sending them your way and blah, 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 blah. And I don't even know what it was for at the time, but I was like, I look at Thunder and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm going to go camp or what I'm doing. And dude, she packs my bags with me and takes me down to California. She'd only known me for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And this was the beginning of our escapade, because we did a lot of really, I took her for a whirlwind. And by the end of this whole thing, I ended up being, an IV drug user and kind of just running her through the mud. And when I got arrested, she's now sleeping. She's sleeping and hanging out with people that she would have never associated with
without
if it wasn't for me. Yeah. And I definitely had to like let go of some guilt when it came to that. And And honestly, I think that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, though. Everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? Now we have two beautiful kids, and
That's awesome.
yeah, I couldn't do any of this stuff without her.
Shane, I hear people say that a lot. Everything happens for a reason, and God's plan or whatever your thing is. And I'm not saying that. I'm certainly not boo-hooing that sentiment, but I would like to give you a little bit more, I don't know, props for that. Ultimately, whatever's placed in front of you that's difficult, you made those choices. You decided, hey, I'm going to do this. Hey, I'm going to do that. The people that are in your life, it's because you chose to put them there and keep them there. So
Right.
There's a little bit more. You pat yourself on the back a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
but when you fail, you could still be doing what you're doing, or you'd be dead probably if you were still doing
Right.
that stuff. But at some point, nobody could make that decision for you. You chose that.
For
You're
sure.
like, listen, I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna listen to this thing that's going on in my head, and my heart, and I think that my life might start to change here. And so that's on you, bro. I mean,
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. If you want to feel
credit,
like,
right?
yeah, for sure. I mean, and if you do that, then it's exactly the same sentiment as owning the shit that you fucked up. It's exactly the same.
Yes.
You know what? The things that are in my life that are bad, I put those there too. You know what I mean? This is a bad decision I made, but as we talked about, once you own that, you own things that you've done right, and then you own the things that you've screwed up. We've already talked about that. These failures become positives for you. So in both ways, in both cases, you're great. And I know that a lot of people have they've got the religion and like I said, it's all meant to be, and the greater plan and all that. And hey, if that works for you, that's cool. But don't let yourself feel like it. You didn't.
Yeah.
Because you did.
And honestly, I totally. I think I believe exactly a lot what you believe there. Like, I guess I wouldn't say it was like this divine thing that somebody else painted for me. Mm-hmm. But I would say that, I guess what I'm saying by that is everything that happens is preparing us for something later, preparing us for something in the future.
I could agree for that. I would agree with that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even the bad things, right? Like the way I look at life now is things aren't happening to me; they're happening for me. Right?
Oh, well said, dude.
Yeah.
That might be the tag for this show. I could record. That'll be the tag. Like, I'll open up with that and then go into my theme music. And anyway,
that's
was
perfect,
good shit, man. That's good stuff.
That's perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And honestly, man, when you let go of that mentality of, oh, this happened to me and that happened to me and this happened to me, and you start thinking about everything of happening for you, and your whole life will change, I feel like.
Now you're not playing the role of victim. Now you're not saddling up that victim horse every day and, oh, woe is me. What bad's going to happen next? Instead, it's like,
for sure,
look at all these things that are coming into my life that are positive. I'm with you, dude. That's good shit.
For sure. So
you met your girl, and she's things aren't going well. She's somewhere in California doing shit she would never do. And you're back in jail at that point?
Yeah. So anyways, we come back, and like I said, then we end up back in Montana, and I get locked up in jail, and this is, talking to the judge, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, me and her split up. Me and her are separated for about a year and a half. And I'm just, like I said, just doing me, and that's what I told her. I said, hey, she broke up with me first, but then I told her, I was like, I was trying to get her to go back down to Arizona to get away from those people, and like, go back to your dad's in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm just going to work on me right now. I need to work on me.
Building that base.
Well,
yep.
I go to jail. I start working in the kitchen. I start working on me. Then I go to treatment. And man, the crazy thing is like, I used to always be able to never be able to get my shit together. And now it was like, things just were different. I go to this treatment facility. I end up being like valedictorian of the group. And then I had my PO relocate me from Bozeman, Montana over to Billings. I'm originally too, like, I don't know if I pointed that out. I'm originally from Redding, California.
You did say that? Yep.
Yeah, I moved to Montana in 2008 for a drywall job. And now I'm leaving Bozeman to go somewhere where I really don't know anybody else, in Billings. I get put into the pre-release out here, and I'm lifting weights. I'm doing drywall again, mm-hmm. And I'm bigger than I've ever been. It was like 205, 206. And
how tall are you?
6 foot.
Okay.
6 foot.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I'm 6 feet as well.
Oh, nice. And so I end up going to the Metro here. It's like a arena place here where they do concerts and stuff. and they're having like some local MMA fights there. And I think like even like Randy Couture's there that night, right?
Wow.
And I'm watching these fights.
Captain America. I love him, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm watching these fights and I'm like, I just remembered what I wanted to do with my life. So I wrestled through high school, and my buddy Justin Warren, my best friend, he's actually a part of my coaching program now. Like I coach him, and he's going to eventually be a coach himself. Pretty cool. But his dad was all into MMA when we were growing up. His dad was in the Navy and stuff, and they used to do those like Pat Miletich camps, and Pat Miletich used to come teach people.
So how old are you now? Like, cause I'm wondering what your MMA was back then. I can remember going into the video store and renting UFC 1, 2, and 3, and they're on a VHS tape.
Yep.
And there was no format, dude. You'd fight. The whole bracket was that day. Like you'd fight, and the announcers were like, "Well, he's got to start worrying about taking damage because he's got to fight again in an hour and a half or some shit." Like,
no weight class.
No, nothing. It was everybody versus everybody, and it was just elimination. So is that what we're talking about? Is
That's man. It was like UFC 20 or something when this is happening, because I'm 36 years old. So and I'm talking the time I'm talking about doing all this stuff, I was like 17, right? And he taught us a little bit of jiu-jitsu. We did a little bit of, he loved MMA. He built like a little mini octagon in his backyard, and like he would train us, and then they would go out of town, and we would, young kids get all drunk and beat the piss out of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but that's it. Like besides that little stint of time, which was probably like a year of doing it, like just occasionally here and there. After that, I forgot about it. Drugs and everything else was a part of my life.
And all of a sudden, you're going to step out there and fight somebody in front of Randy Couture.
No. So I literally was just watching the fights, though. No. So the fights here, I was literally just a spectator, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying, like, that was the moment where I was like, oh, I remember what I loved to do. Like, I loved doing that. I loved wrestling. I loved fighting back then. And I mean, and through that rough life that I told you about, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did some street fighting, you know what I mean? Some bar fights, stuff like that, but I never trained. Right. And at this time, I think 29, and I end up going into the grindhouse here in Billings, Montana. That's Will Grunhauser. He's my professor and coach. Amazing guy. We also like Drew McManus trains out of our gym. I don't know if you know who that is. He's the lead singer of Satsang.
No, I don't know who he is.
He also has a podcast.
I definitely have heard of Grindhouse. Who has not heard of them? I mean, everybody knows who they are.
Nice. Good deal. Yeah. And so then I go in there, man, and the next day too, I talked to Will, and that was it, dude. That was a wrap. I ended up taking that addictive, compulsive, and this is what I try to talk to addicts about, man, is you got to channel it,
re-channel it into something else, man. Yeah, for sure.
Every single, and not just addicts, anybody who has conviction.
Yeah, or a type A personality where you're detail oriented, very conscientious, and you're a perfectionist. Shit, man, aim that at something. You're going to be successful.
Yes. Heck yeah. And I usually tell addicts this. I say, before you ever touched drugs, before you ever did any of that, were you not the person that went all in at everything you did and tried to be the best?
Yep.
Yeah. And Eminem actually just talked about it on Mike Tyson's podcast. I love the way he said it. He said, I grew up feeling like I wasn't enough. So then every time that he wasn't good enough. So he's like, so then when I found something I was good at, he's like, I was all in,
Yep. And that's what it takes to really be successful. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
If you really want to get to the top, you've got to be, I mean, balls deep. Everything, every minute of your existence has got to be into it.
That's exactly why I just sold a drywall business. I was like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just all about it, all in on it.
You were too into it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And motivational speaking, I'm all in on it. And so I start training and fighting MMA like a damn heroin addict. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just all day, every day.
Consuming.
And I honestly did. I ended up training myself into the hospital eventually with rhabdomyolysis exertion because I just wasn't rested enough. I was training 6 hours a day, just pushing it too hard. And I also,
what did you get? Did you get like rhabdo or something? How bad? Why did you end up in
rhabdo?
Okay.
Yep. I ended up having to have. So 2 weeks before my the last amateur fight I had, which was actually the most popular one, there was a video on MMA Uncensored where they played like a Metallica background to it, but we're literally rock'em sock'em robots, dude.
Just
and like
trading.
And Billy actually goes out for a second, and then I wake him back up with a punch, like while he's standing. You can look it up on it went viral, right? But
You said it was an amateur fight of yours?
yeah. So if you look up, well, you know what? Actually, you could even look up on my Instagram, but I have a highlight reel on YouTube, Shane Fichter MMA highlight reel.
Oh, I saw it.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
So that fight where we're just like beating the piss out of each other. So about 2 weeks before that fight, I got Rhabdo, and
Okay.
you know,
Well, that's not enough time, right? Doesn't Rhabdo take a little longer than that?
Not at all, dude.
Yeah.
Not at all, man. And what was hard about that is the doctor's like, all right, you need to go lay up and eat dark chocolate and rest. And I'm like, what? Dude, I got to fight in 2 weeks, man. So I did about a week of the resting and the dark chocolate and just kind of like shadow boxing where I could, but I kept getting dizzy and stuff. Yeah. And then, yeah, man, cut the weight like a day before the fight. Luckily, I didn't have to cut very much, and it was in on that fight. You know, and I also feel like what helped my MMA career, man, is I jumped in right with the pros, right? Like my training partner was a 185 pro, Tyler Vogel. He was actually just on some of the bare knuckle fights and stuff like that. And, you know,
you don't get better going against guys who suck. I mean, if you want to get good, that's what you got to do. That's how you go all in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you know, my number one attribute when it came to MMA, was I was just tough as nails. I wouldn't quit. You know, you're gonna have to kill me to get me out of this cage.
Right.
So about
well, you had a chin too, man. I've seen you just get pummeled and not knocked out. You know? That's rare. That's unusual.
That's exactly what happened too. About 4 months into my training, I'm sparring with Tyler Vogel one day, and he's just hitting me with 4-ounce gloves with everything he's got, trying to knock me out. And I'm just coming forward and coming forward and coming forward. And to where Will was like, hey, quit it. And he goes, Tyler, chill out, dude. He's an 0-0 amateur. He's been training for 4 months. And I end up going, oh, dude, I'm sorry. And he goes, no, you're good. He's like, whenever you're ready to fight, you let me know. And I'm like, really, dude? These guys have been training like forever. And he's like, yeah, but you can't train that.
Yeah, that's true, man. It's unusual.
He's so right. You can have the best martial artists in the world, but if they can't switch that trigger on.
Yeah, you mentioned Mike Tyson earlier. You know his quote, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Everything changes, man. If you can't take that shot, and that's life too, isn't it? It's like we talked about. If you can't take those setbacks, if you can't be resilient.
It is.
Fucked.
It so is.
Yeah. And so you're in MMA honestly, at this. How far did you get to? At what was your peak?
Okay, so I did a lot in MMA in a very short period of time because, like I said, I went like
and you started late, dude. You started
and
like
I started
29.
Late.
Yeah.
So I end up. Okay, I had a fight here, and you probably saw it on my highlight reel. And this was kind of the beginning to the end for me. I was choked unconscious about I went out about 4 or 5 times. It's the last fight on that highlight reel. I just posted a video about it.
One where your legs are still kicking, even though you're out?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Almost killed myself. And, you know, that is honestly the MO for my whole fight career. Is that right there? No, right. That's not the highlight, but that's okay. So I had that fight.
That's what made you for sure.
Yep. Yeah. And then so Will sent me to, but it's also why I probably had to retire, honestly. I feel like, and I'll get to that. But so after that fight, Will sends me to Thailand. I go and I train in Thailand, fight in Thailand. That was a highlight. I end up coming back, fighting King of Sparta, which is it was a welterweight tournament.
Okay.
It was a world renowned tournament. And it was first round is boxing. Second round is Muay Thai. Third round is MMA, and
you have all those. You have all those disciplines, or you have to do all those, or that's what they have. Okay, so you've got Muay Thai.
Yeah, you gotta fight boxing, then fight Muay Thai, then fight MMA, all in the same night.
See, now the thing with Muay Thai for me, I mean, you get a lot out of that, but there are some rules in there that I think are dangerous when you get to MMA. Like, The stuff that I've done with Muay Thai, you like when you kick, you can follow all the way through and spin all the way around, and you're opening up the back of your head. And in MMA, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Where kickboxing, you don't do that. I don't know. Did you ever run into that issue?
Yeah. I honestly would not. Yeah, I mean, there's a way to do it, right? So when you spin around, you put your right foot back, you put your right foot down, and kind of jump back, right? Like that's what they always taught us. Like
so stay out of range.
When you get, yep. Okay. But yeah, I would definitely say, you know, you want to make sure that when you're boxing, you're boxing. When you're fighting Muay Thai, you're fighting Muay Thai. When you're fighting
they're
MMA,
different stances, they're different everything. Yeah.
You're fighting MMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I fucking killed in that tournament. I feel like I did really well. I ended up losing to LT Nelson. LT Nelson's like a major pro Muay Thai fighter, and like literally, dude, when I was going into the second round of that tournament against him, Justin Gaethje's in his corner. You know what I mean?
Jesus, really?
Yeah, he's one of Justin Gaethje's Muay Thai training partners.
Was Justin's a young guy at the time? Like he just wasn't quite there yet, I would guess.
No, yeah, he was, but he wasn't like he is now, right? So, I mean, and that was what was so cool, man. Like I didn't, like I said, I went all in, bro. Like I ended up going down and I didn't wait for anybody. I wasn't like just hanging out in Billings. I traveled down to Denver and started training with Dwayne Ludwig. I stayed at his fight house. Me and Kobe Jeffers, who's my business partner in the Kava bar, he's also was my training partner in MMA. We went down to Easton's, you know, trained with Justin Gaethje and Drew Dauber and Curtis Blades, and dude, Kobe actually did 4 rounds with Alistar Overeem as an and dude, Kobe was an amateur too. Like,
is Overeem still in it, man? The biggest fight he fought was Brock Lesnar. I remember he took him out with a liver kick, and I know he had some steroid issues, but he's out of it now, right? Is he still fighting?
I think he's gonna hang it up after that last one. I think he's gonna hang it up.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't heard any word about it. So yeah, man, I guess like those were all my peaks, but the biggest thing and the best and the like the most crucial thing to the story is after that tournament, me and Kobe ended up turning in some resumes to a fight agent and to like go try out for this agent. He Gilbert Burns fight agent, you know, Luke Rockhold's fight agent. He owns a piece of a gym in Florida and owns a piece of a gym in Arizona. I don't even remember what his name was, but me and Kobe send off these resumes, right? Well, while the resume's gone, I end up having a return fight, like a coming home fight here in Billings against a guy way bigger, and I shouldn't have took the fight probably, but whatever. And the guy was like 5-2 and hungry, but he's 5-2 out of Denver, right? He's like lives in the Mecca. He's had like all these hard fights.
Yeah, and he's fighting at altitude. There's a lot of advantages there in Denver.
Oh yeah. So he comes up here though, and dude, honestly though, this was the first sign of kind of the damage that I was taking to myself. I ended up taking a shot to the temple that dropped me. I would have walked right through that punch any other day of the week, right? And then I ended up taking about 6 elbows to the head, to the point where I'm out and my head's just bouncing off the mat, dude. And then 2 weeks after that fight, we get invited to Fort Lauderdale, Florida to go try out for that fight agent. You know, we get invited down to Hard Knocks 365 and train with Henry Hoof and Gilbert Burns, you know, Robbie Lawler, just big names.
Yeah.
And we're down there training. We got accepted, dude, onto the team. It was just a blast, dude. We trained there for about 6 days, okay? About 6 days into the whole trip, I'm sparring with Takeshi Sato. He's my training partner at the time. And he's a southpaw. And I kept running this hop switch on him, and it was landing a lot. But he had been timing me for like 2 days, man.
Now he's got
and
you.
He's southpaw. So I end up jumping hop switch right into a left hand. Boom. He barely touches me on the chin, though. Like, just barely touches me.
And out.
I end up going stiff as a board, like timber out for about a minute and a half.
Oh, man.
Gapped out the whole day. They had to tell me multiple times over and over again what happened. It wouldn't register in my head. Kobe said I wandered around blocks looking for my cell phone for about 3 hours, just asking the same question over and over.
Dude, what do
and
you
over
think
again.
that is, man? Because I see that's what I see with fighters when they, I don't want to say over the hill, but once they start kind of getting past their peak,
Yes.
that's what
Yes.
goes away. They're still in great shape and they can still throw and they have the game down, that's for sure. But your chin goes away. What the heck is that, dude? Because you have like a certain amount of that's in you, and then the more of it gets taken down over time, you just don't have it anymore. Do you think it's time? Do you think it's damage? What is it that makes
It's
that go away?
damage. It's damage. So? Oh yeah, no, it's damage. Because like, dude, honestly, it wasn't time for me because the doctor told me it was damage. So I about 5 days later, I tried to get back on the mat, or no, about 2 days later, I tried to get back on the mat for shadow box. And Cammy Brazzini, he's the wrestling coach there. He's like, nah, man, no, you got to chill. Nope. And then for like the next 5 days, he's not letting me on the mat. He's like going behind my back and talking to Kobe, telling him like, hey man, when Shane gets back home, you should just let him chill. And then ends up before I leave, he's like, hey man, I've watched guys progress in this sport and they get to a point where they can't take a shot. And he's like, and it's all downhill from there. You know what I mean? And he's like, I want you to come see the doctor that you saw the day you got knocked out. I'm like, I saw a doctor the day I got knocked out. He's like, yeah.
Shit, that bad, huh? Ah, that sucks.
So I go meet this guy though, and you know, that's exactly it, man. Because they told me that same thing. Like I said, you know, like once you get that glass chin, it's all downhill. And I'm like, well, dude, I haven't even been fighting that long. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, but you've had some damaging fights, right? And I'm like, yes. And then we start talking about before my fight career, dude, I'd taken beer bottles to the head, steel toe boots to the face.
Yeah.
Those 2 overdoses didn't help at all.
Sure,
he
they
started
didn't.
explaining what the drugs do. And, you know, I think a lot that had to do with it too was that fight against Gage where I was choked unconscious multiple times. I don't know that that's the case, but the lack of oxygen, you know, can't be good for me.
Can't be good, man. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, it can't be good, bro.
He ends up saying, you know, I'm not saying you have to quit, but he's like, just know that this is the point where a lot of people make the wrong decision, you know? And I'm like, I got 2 kids, dude. I was 34, 35 almost. Yeah, I was 34, almost 35. And I decided to walk away. You know, the hard part was I told all my sponsors, this is it. Going to Florida, I'm like, I'm going to UFC, dude. This is it. This is it. I end up having to call all those sponsors and go, you know, I have to retire and I don't have enough money to get home.
So, yeah, that sucks, man. And what keeps popping into my head is that I think it's at those life transitions right there where you are making a big change or at least dealing with because I'm sure you were disappointed as shit. It's not what you wanted.
Yes,
to
all
make
my
that
dreams
change,
and goals were taken.
Yeah, to have that crushing blow. How do the drugs not come back into the picture right there? Because I feel like that's where they would come back.
Right. You would think, but my kids and my wife, and you know what? Honestly, though, bro, and this is actually where I give all my success and everything is self-development. Self-development, dude. The fact that
that's what got you over that hump,
dude, and not even just got me out of that hump, bro. I didn't miss a beat. Like, don't get me wrong.
Good.
I was disappointed, but because of meditation, because of the self-awareness that I had from journaling and working on myself, and my coach, Rob Dial, he's my mentor and coach. He made such a big impact on me before I even met the guy. And I was listening to his podcast and stuff. Like, because of that self-awareness, I had already known that MMA was just a stepping stone for me. I already knew where I was going. Like, at this time, dude, I'm already doing public speaking at the rehabs here. I'm already like talking to addicts about.
Oh, you're already transitioning in. That's awesome.
I was already like, I knew I was getting MMA late. I knew that it was just like a stepping stone for me. So it was don't get me wrong. I mean, yes, it was a huge blow. Like my goal was to fight in Japan. That was like my end all be all goal.
There's some good fight circuits over there too. There's some places where you can go. Yeah, I get you.
And it's not only that, but it's like over there, man, there's still the respect for the sport. There's still like, you know what I mean? Like over here, everybody just sells tickets on knockouts. They just want to see the big knockouts. You know what I mean? And like, over there, it's like still an art. And
and there's an honor piece to it too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I get what you're saying. I know the difference.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? I'll coach in Japan. You know, that's going to be my new thought on it. And, you know, my kids, man, my kids, I was like, you know, I don't want to be brain dead, you know, for my kids.
Punch drunk,
And
yeah, for sure.
And so, dude, the instead of making it, this is what's so crazy too about that, because of the self-development and everything, instead of making it a reason to use drugs, it was a reason to not, and a reason to go forward. Just
so then,
fast,
man, then you had completely changed your mindset, man. You really did do the work. It's like you're saying, self-development. You changed yourself. You put yourself in a different position so that you could. That's awesome. So glad to hear that, man. Because you know what the recidivism rates are, and you know how often people, you know, relapse. It's more often than not, man. Than that you haven't done that. Some great shit.
And I hate to say this, man, but honestly, the way that we handle treatment and everything in rehab and even NA and AA in America is, I feel like it contributes to I can't ever pronounce that word, but the
recidivism.
You know, you know, I think it contributes. Okay, and I'm not knocking. I love NA. I love AA and NA. I do. Mm-hmm. But when you get to the 12th step, they tell you go back to step 1. You know, fuck that, dude. Use your addiction to be better, be the best you can be. I feel like that just keeps people in this circle where they depend on NA,
and they never get off of it. They never move on from there. I see what you're saying. Yeah, dude, I get what you're saying about using it as fuel. Like, you know, I have a podcast for shit's sake. So I say stuff and people get offended by it. It's just part of the game. And I accept that.
Right.
And because I work for myself, I'm not going to lose my job. And I'm not married, so I don't have a wife who's going to be upset or kids to embarrass. I can really do whatever I want to, but I still coach high school football. And I said some shit in the spring. Awesome. I said some shit in the spring, and some moms got pissed off about it, and I got fired, and that's completely okay. But losing that coaching gig to me, I thought to myself, well, I've already lost it. So me changing what I'm doing, it doesn't help anybody. You have to turn it into a motivator. You got to go, yes, I had to have lost this for something. I don't want it to be for nothing. This has got to be for something. If I'm going to take that shot, I better succeed as a result of it. That's how you turn it into fuel. Is that what you're trying? I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's how I look at it.
That is. No, you're completely right. You're like, instead of being like, oh man, you know, I'm not going to go to the UFC anymore. It's just taken away from me. No, that's my fucking story. That's why I'm a badass entrepreneur. Like, you know, like I'm going to use that to catapult me forward, you know?
Yeah. A lot of people look at that and be ashamed of it. You know what I mean? And be like, well, I don't want people to know that I had to retire, or I wasn't tough enough. Or there's a lot of stupid shit you could put in your head, but to harness it like you've done, man, and which is exactly what you've done. You are marketing yourself incredibly well. How did you, I mean, is that natural? You said you've got a business partner. How did you know to do that? How did you know to say, hey, I've got these things that other people don't have? You know, I have this awesome backstory. I have this I did this MMA for a long time. I'm going to use that to move me forward and advertise it in a marketing fashion. Did you just come up with that on your own, or did you have somebody coaching you up on that?
No. Okay. So here's one of the things. I feel like it evolved during my MMA career. So, and this is why, like with my mindset coaching business, I mean, I cast a broad net because I've had so many different attributes in my life that I've experienced that I feel like I could help a lot of different people.
Yeah, you can connect with a lot of people for sure.
Yeah, but one of the things I really want to do is help fighters because, dude, I did a lot very quickly. I made it quickly. But not only that, I was able to quit working like a job as an amateur MMA fighter because I was getting sponsors. I'd literally go out there and just sell myself. And I would walk into a business and be like, I'm going to be in the UFC. And I would just tell them and like, I would get them all pumped up and I would tell them my whole story. I'd be like, I come from this, I'm this. And I'd be like, and they'd be like, well, how do you know you're going to make it to UFC? I'm like, cause I'll fucking climb through glass to get there. You know what I mean? And like, and that's what I like started just owning. Like, dude, so get it like this. What I used to tell myself before I got in the cage, right, is there's nervousness. You know, you're scared. And I don't give a fuck who you are. When you get in that cage, before you get in there, you're scared of losing in front of a bunch of people.
Crazy if
but
you're
you
not.
know what I used to tell myself? I withdrawn off of heroin and drugs for 35 days. I just got to get in there with this guy for 15 fucking minutes.
Yep,
you know what I mean?
fives.
And not only that, I fought dudes way bigger. You know what I mean? Like that had knives one time. You know what I mean? Like
No
like
shit.
So that's what it is. I accepted where I came from, and I used it as like who I am, like and self-development, you know, like I said, like meditating, journaling, and you know, seeing a lot of what these other guys say when it comes to like growth mindset and like experiences. Like, so like a lot of this is happening when everybody's like learning that school and a certificate and a diploma isn't the most important thing, that life experiences are, you know?
Oh man, nothing makes you better at a thing than doing it. I just did a show on that a couple weeks ago, that if you want to be a thing, you want to be an MMA fighter, you want to be an author, there's no degree in MMA.
Yeah.
There's no degree in being you just go do it. You just go do that shit. And that's how you become that thing. That's good stuff.
I just did a video on that.
You did?
I just did a video on that because I had this mentor of mine that is real old school. And when I was starting this whole coaching thing, he's like, man, you got to get some certificates. You got to get some kind of credentials, and you got to hang them on the wall and all that. And I said, dude, you can sit through a class and get a fucking certificate, and you don't know if that guy learned jack shit.
You can be educated and still be ignorant. That's for sure.
I am proof. You know where I am and where I was. Like, you know what I mean?
See this nose, see these eyes, see these ears. That's my certificate.
Yep. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I end up coming back here, ended up having to ask sponsors for money just to even get back here.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew how to do drywall, right? I came back, and what's funny too is like after I took that shot to the head in Florida, well, actually, the other funny thing is that me and Kobe didn't even realize this, right? So, like I said, Kobe's my business partner in my Kava bar. He also is one of the guys that's buying my drywall business too, and he owns a couple other businesses. But you know, the funny thing is that while we're over there, we're talking about, before I even take that shot to the head, for some reason we were talking about business ideas and stuff. His dad built a resort down in Belize, and so his dad's always been a businessman. And you know, so we were just spitballing stuff and everything like that. Well, after I took that shot, I started journaling a lot for like those last days in Florida. So I already had the idea for the patch guy, because see, the whole time I was doing MMA, I had to pay extra bills. I would do patch jobs on the side, like little patch work.
I know what you mean. Yeah, just slinging some mud and put some mesh up there and get your blades out, go to work.
And there is no, that's a niche. No one really has, like most of the drywall businesses in your town will be
they're hanging
drywall
sheets.
Contractors.
Yeah, dude, I know exactly what you mean. So like I told you, I still do work in the summertime. But my main business is I recruit construction workers. I work for construction companies, and I've got this one company in Auburn Hills, and all they want is spotters. That's all they want. And those guys are hard to find. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I came back, dude. I had a pan, I had a screw gun, and I had me and my wife's freaking little SUV. And
no banjo? You're not a banjo guy?
Well,
I guess that's for bigger jobs.
Right? I'm a bazooka guy. You know the big.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
about.
a
bazooka guy. But at this time, I didn't have any of those things, and I'm just doing patches at first, right? At birth. So I have sponsors here in Billings at this time from fighting that are painters, contractors, all these guys. I came back, man, and I'm like, I'm doing drywall. I just told them all, I'm doing drywall. Call me. First year, the patch guy did $300,000 gross revenue.
That's awesome.
Because once again, I hit that shit like a heroin addict. I just hit it hard, you know, that same kind of mentality, and without any fear, you know, like I said, and after the things that I'd been through, I just jumped. I didn't think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the beauty of failing. That lets you know, hey, whatever's in front of you can't be as bad as what's behind you, so you'll be all right.
Exactly. And then about 5 months after I did that, see, my business partner, Kobe Jeffers, this is the other crazy, tricky thing about him. He is still, to this day, a shoo-in for the UFC right now. So
Really?
this whole time, oh yeah, man, he's still the 205 Tough Enough belt holder. Like, you know what Tough Enough is? It was like the
Yeah, it's a
big
tough guy
amateur
competition.
promotion.
Yep.
Yeah. Most of the UFC fighters have been in that. They were, you know, a lot of them, like
Come from there.
you know, Rampage and all them. They
Yeah.
were belt holders.
How it was explained to me is that that's one of the places where Dana White finds people to do the TV show
Yep.
from the Contender Series, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. And so Kobe won the 205 belt, and then we ended up going to Florida. And dude, like I said, he sparred with Alistar. And dude, like I had to talk to the coaches in Denver just to get Kobe to be let on the mat because he was still an amateur. And he's walking by, and this, I'll just give you the what happened with him and Alistar over him. Because I think one day Kobe will decide to maybe have a fight in the UFC, maybe. But we're at Easton's, and Alistar had just mopped through a whole slew of guys, you know, sparring him. Mm-hmm. And Kobe's walking by, and he's about that size, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing? You want to spar Alistar?" And Kobe's like, "Yeah, dude, let's fucking do it." And what the funniest thing about Kobe is he's not like big at following MMA and knowing who guys are.
So he has no reason to be afraid of this dude. He's just some guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he has no idea who the guy is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gets in there, dude, you know, Alistar kicks him in the liver right off the bat. Boom!
That's a signature move. Yeah.
Drops him, dude. Kobe goes to one knee, you know, and they're like, "You done?" And Kobe's like, "Wait a minute." They're like, "You done?" Kobe's like, "Wait a minute." And dude, he toughs through it and puts on 3 more rounds with Alistar. And I mean, like technically, Kobe's, you know, at the time, he's just extremely athletic, dude. Like just a freak of nature. And like at the end of this, Alistar's like, "Who the fuck is this kid?" You know what I mean? Like, and anyways, yeah. And then fast forward, right, in Florida, Kobe's over there, and they were putting him, because he's a big 205er. They're putting him with these heavyweights, fun and stuff. And I can't remember that guy's name, but anyway, you know, couple like UFC and Bellator heavyweights, honestly. And they're like, technically, don't get me wrong, technically they're piecing him up, right? But Kobe would just get inside and just throw him across the room, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
just that athletic.
And then we, you know, and I think that he was like, he hadn't been out of that fight for that 205 belt for very long. So he was already pretty beat up. When we get over to Florida, he gets even more beat up. And then we come back here, and I told you, like, what with his dad and everything. So I start the patch guy. And the next thing you know, Kobe's like, "Man, I don't know how to tell Will this." He's like, "But I don't want to fight anymore." You know what I mean? He's like, "I want to start a business." And so not long after that, we started Kava Roots, man. And we started the only Kava bar in Montana. And, you know, a lot of people were like, even Kobe and my wife were like, "Man, I don't know if it's going to work here. I just don't know." And I'm like, "I know it will. It'll kill it." And they're like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "Because I'll climb through glass to make sure it does."
That's exactly right, man. It's like going to the UFC. So what do you do now, man? I mean, obviously you're sitting in an office. I know there's other people there, and you've got these interests. And I mean, what's your average day like, dude? You get up at what time, and when do you train, and what are you doing for fun? I mean, how much time do you get with your family? What's a day like in the life of Shane?
Yeah, man. So I coach boxing. I coach kids boxing, and then I also coach adult boxing 3 days a week. I coach, you know, adult boxing on Monday nights. And then I do kids boxing Wednesday and Thursday. You know, my hope is to one day just coach my kids and focus on them, you know, and let them, like, you know, find their dreams in whatever they want to do. But I'm selling out of the patch guy, that drywall business, and I'm focusing now more on mindset coaching and motivational speaking. I have you know, I got a handful of clients right now that I work with. I you know, I help people stop drinking with Kava and Kratom, and I coach them. And I also coach, you know, business owners and you know, people that have just hit a wall, you know what I mean? And I help them pull the trigger. I help them build their confidence. I help them use their conflictions as their superpowers. You know what I mean?
Not be afraid.
Heck yeah. And so I started this. I launched this coaching business about 4 months ago. So I told you about Rob Dial. He's my coach and mentor. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's got the podcast,
I have not.
The Mindset.
I'm going to check him out, though. What's the name of his podcast you said?
The Mindset Mentor. Yeah, dude, he's pretty awesome.
I just want to pull it up before I forget the name, so I have it here.
And
he's on Apple. He's everywhere. He's every place that I am. That's cool.
Oh yeah. So he I'll just give you a little backstory on him. he was an old Cutco knife salesman, and like,
Oh, dude, I remember Cutco. I had a buddy in college that did that stuff. He's actually made decent money at it. You could cut through a penny with that shit.
Oh yeah,
that was his thing.
Oh yeah, and all that, but dude, all the top sellers at Cutco back in the day are all millionaires now. Like, so like, I don't know if you've heard of Hal Elrod. He wrote The Miracle Morning. That guy's an old Cutco knife salesman. Like, see, now
I don't know I don't think Cutco made him that way. My guess is those guys were just good salesmen. You know what I mean? Like, they just knew what they were doing, right?
Yeah. Okay. So this is what happened. It wasn't just Cutco, but dude, Rob says that it did kind of prep him in a way, right? They did a lot of like conventions. They did a lot of like self-development with their sales reps, and they kind of threw them to the wolves. Yeah. And so anyways, I started listening to Rob about the end of my, not the end, about the last year of my fight career. I started listening to Rob, and, you know, just picking up everything he said, dude. I started doing his morning routine. I started doing all those things.
Now, this is before you knew him? Like, so you found him as a podcaster? Okay.
Yep. Just found him on a podcast, man, and just started listening to him. And, you know, then I just started doing like a lot of his morning routine stuff. And then, you know, later that year, I ended up retiring from MMA. So I went even farther into what he was doing. And then in 2019, I ended up doing one of the challenges he had. He had like a mindset challenge that I did. And that just changed my life forever. And I ended up being persistent, like trying to get a hold of these guys, dude. Like, just like trying to like get to know them, tell them my story, you know what I mean, as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then I get invited down to Kava to a mastermind that they were doing. And I get down there, and like all the people that are at this mastermind, they're all like, dude, how are you here? They're like, we're all a part of this
program.
How
did you get to us? How did you get this level?
Yeah. They're like, how did you get invited here? You know what I mean?
Well, you fucking climbed through glass to get there. Dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I haven't been doing this that long, but, you know, when I call somebody and say, hey, or reach out like I did with you and say, hey, I'd love to have you on my show. The answer is no if you don't ask. And even if you'd have said no the first time, Shane, I would have asked you again. You know what I mean? Maybe it waited a little bit, but I would have called you. I'd have found a way to get a hold of you. Hey, man, this is Travis. I really want to have you on my show. You got a great story, blah, blah. So that's what you got to do. It sounds like that's what you did. You got to have a little persistence there.
It is. Yeah.
So you get down there and you're at this mastermind thing.
Yeah. And I, while I'm down there, I just found my passion was for coaching and helping people. You know, Rob like straight called me out on it. You know, like I kept like getting in front of the group and talking a lot, like in these convention settings. And they're like, man, you're really good at talking. But then he was also like, he pointed me out to the group. He's like, you guys see how excited he gets when he starts talking about helping people with self-development. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And dude, I just came back. I'm the kind of guy that puts caution to the wind, dude. Yeah. I came back from Cabo and just started it. I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to get rid of the patch guy, or at least get out of it more than I am now and focus on this. And, you know, now, man, I've got a handful of testimonies already. I've only been doing this for about 4 or 5 months. Honestly, though, I've only been getting paid for it for about 4 or 5 months, right? Like, I was hiring addicts and coaching them when I was working with the patch guy. I had them doing my morning routine, and a lot of
drug guys, a lot of drug addicts in drywall. It's true, dude. Pain too.
It is so true. Just a bunch of dirtbags, dude. We're all a bunch of dirtbags.
Yeah, and I mean, whatever. Everybody's got their downside, and that's cool. They're good dudes, right?
Yeah. So true. And so I'll give you an example of somebody that I coached before I ever started this coaching business. So I had a friend named Tyler. He lives in California. And this guy, man, when we were 17, he would kill a bottle of vodka just like as a party trick, you know, just do the whole thing.
Oh, man.
And he had been drinking like that his whole life. Really? Oh, yeah. And he continued to drink like that his whole life. And he was reaching out to me one time, or he started reaching out to me. He's like, hey, man, and he's still in California at this time. He's like, hey, man, I see what you're doing. I see your stories. Like, I need help. And he'd call me, dude, wasted, depressed, sometimes with a loaded gun, dude. Like, and
they called you, man. What does that tell you about how you present to other people if a man in that position called you?
I know that's, dude, see, these are the kinds of things that like got me where I want to be, and finding my passion and finding what I want, you know?
Yep.
And anyways, he he's calling me and I'm talking to him for about 5 months. And I keep telling him, hey man, just come up here, come work for me doing drywall, do my morning routine with me. And I'm like, we'll use these plants to get you off that alcohol. And ended up, dude, one day he called me from Idaho. I didn't think he was actually going to come. And he's like, dude, I'm in Idaho. I'm on my way out.
Yeah.
And drank vodka the whole way here, dude. Just wasted. And when he gets here, dude, at this time he's drinking a half gallon a day. The first time he tried quitting drinking, he had seizures, hallucinations, almost fucking died.
DTs, man, they suck.
Yeah, and with alcohol, it's like one of the worst. And I get him up here. I buy a pint. So like I said, I start putting him to work. He starts going to work with me. I'm taking him to the gym in the morning and like I'm having to meditate, journal, all of it. And I got a pint. I got like a little pint of vodka, and I just started, weaning him down and replacing the alcohol with Kava and Kratom. And I get him down to one tea, dude. Within like 8 to 9 days, I get him all the way down to one twisted tea. Like that's it, right? And not only that, but I'm also taking him to my Kava bar every night. Okay, so at my Kava bar, you have all the people that go there are trying to make healthier choices. So you end up getting
surrounding himself with the right people. That helps a ton.
Dude. I would take him there every night, and I would tell his story. I didn't give a shit. And at first it did piss him off. He's like, why are you telling everybody my business? I'm like, look how much confidence you get when I tell your story. Because I'm telling them, dude, this guy just drove 12,000 miles to get sober. And then they'll support him. They're like, dude, that's awesome. Because they're just good people. Yeah. And
it's worth some discomfort up front in the end, right?
Oh, for sure. And eventually, though, he was telling his own story. You know what I mean? And,
that's good shit.
And the more you tell the story, the more it empowers you. You know what I mean? Like, the more you tell your story, the less it has a hold of you, and the more it empowers you and picks you up.
Yeah, the more you're on it.
For sure. And dude, I ended up weaning him all the way off alcohol with not a shake or a tremor by replacing it with Kava and Kratom.
So what's he doing now? This is the guy who's going to buy your drywall business?
Oh, no. So this guy, and this actually, he ends up, he's the foreman of a drywall business in California though. He went back. He came up here. He had done a little bit of drywall, but then after doing drywall with me, he ends up going back to California and getting a foreman job and everything. Like, and family life is good. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for all I know, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but man, he's doing good. You know what I mean? And so that was my first. I did that, and then I think I helped another guy stop drinking too. He lives here in town. He's doing great. He comes to Kava all the time. And then my mom, I told you my mom was a drug addict. She ended up moving up here. She had cancer. She wanted to spend time with the kids and all that. And she's still drinking, dude, still taking pills, just the whole 9 yards. And she's not doing good though when she gets up here. And
how's that working with your kids, man? I mean, how do you keep that from being a problem with your kids?
Yeah. So she gets up here and she actually she tunes it back. Like, she's not doing meth no more. She's taking her painkillers that the doctor gives her, and she's drinking beer, right? And then she gets on hospice, and I didn't realize what hospice was. It's not that I didn't realize what hospice was, but I thought they were going to kind of prolong her life and just check on her and make her life a little more comfortable. But no, man, I hate to say it, but hospice is just helping them go out.
Comfort to the end. Yeah. Sorry to hear that, man. That sucks ass.
It was real hard. But the last 5 days of my mom's life, that's the one thing I say is it is real hard with my mom passing, but she died young because she went hard in the paint, dude. She just partied her ass off her whole life. And honestly, I know that she regretted it because her last 5 to 6 days, dude, she was so unfulfilled. She just regretted her whole life. I was able to tell her at the end, I'm like, Mom, your life served a big purpose in creating me and my sister. You know what I mean? And she was a great grandmother at the end there. But that lack of fulfillment and regret that she had dying is what lit the fire up under my ass.
Dude, I was just going to say, what a driver. I heard Jordan Peterson talking about this the other day, that if you can just look at, when you turn 50, what's the thing that you don't want to be disappointed about? So you imagine if you're 50, what do you want to make sure you have done by then? And what do you not want to be
Right.
regretting? You know, as soon as you kind of, and in your business, that would be journaling that out and writing that down. This is the thing that I
Yes.
want to make sure I want to have done by 50. And if I haven't, well, then that becomes a driver. Your anxiety now, you can turn it into one of those drivers. And so for you, I was just, as you started talking about that, I'm like, that's a fucking
Yeah.
driver right there. That's for sure. That's
I am going to write that
keep
down
pushing.
too. What things do I want to make sure I have done by 50? That's fucking gold right there.
You don't want to be there at 50 going,
No.
God damn, I wish I would have, because your life is going to end, bro. All of ours are.
Yep. So I ended up telling myself after that point, because I was like, man, I don't want my kids to ever die like unfulfilled like that and just regretful. And then I was like, shit. I don't want any person to die feeling like that. You know what I mean?
That's got to be the worst. That's got to be the worst thing there is, to die and know that you didn't do what you wanted to do. You didn't get, there's nothing you can do. Oh man, what a feeling of helplessness. That would suck.
Yeah. She lost my sister, like, you know what I mean? Like my sister, me and her are real close now, but my sister got adopted at 7 or 8 years old. That was another thing that was right there with my dad's suicide that probably contributed to my drug use and everything. You know, she got taken by CPS and I didn't end up having a relationship with her again until she was 17 and I was like 20, I don't know how old, but
I was going to say she must have been younger.
Yeah, she's amazing though. She's an amazing girl, man. And that's why I like told my mom, you know, I was like, you know, like your life totally served a purpose, like, you know, and just like you were talking.
Did that help her?
What's that?
Do you feel like that kind of eased that pain of fulfillment?
I do.
Good.
I do think it helped her. I really do. You know, my mom was completely unconscious the last day in the basement apartment underneath our house. And my wife like cleaned the whole place up. And I just sat down there all day to just talk to her and told stories and cried and laughed. And I mean, she wasn't responsive, but for me, it was really good too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bet that's therapeutic for you.
Oh yeah, it was. And I had told her that, you know, her life served a purpose before she was unresponsive as well.
Good.
But man, that is what my purpose on earth is to make sure as many people as I can impact don't die with a life unfulfilled like that. You know, like telling my story, I feel like is one of the most important things. And coaching people, man, like I have, you know, we're getting ready to launch our group coaching program the middle of February, but I love one-on-one coaching. I love like digging in with a person, having breakthroughs, and helping them figure out a lot of the things that I figured out, you know what I mean? Going through all this. And dude, we've got testimonies now. It's just taken off so fast. I just love it. I mean, I you know, nothing against Tony Robbins, but I plan on being more impactful than Tony Robbins because Tony Robbins doesn't even have my story. You know what I mean?
That's right. He's just a guy. You're a guy who's experienced some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's totally different.
That's actually something to be said right there too, right? So this is another realization I had from everything I did. Okay, I was a fucking junkie. I mean, like, dude, I can show you. I got track marked scars on my arm. I overdosed. Like, I was the real deal, like, scum junkie. And I went from that to not long. Probably, like, I mean, honestly, dude, I was over there training with UFC fucking legends like Robbie Lawler, 4 or 5 or 6 years after being a junkie. And, like, by doing that, and then coming back here, like I started that business and I like sat there for a minute and I was like, I can do whatever the fuck I want in this world. Like, no shit. Like,
no one gets that realization. No one does. People might, but and I'll tell you, even if they do, if it goes through their head, like the way you just said it, like you really felt that. You weren't just like, oh, my mom says I can do anything I want to. Like so many kids do. My mom says I'm special, but you really fucking can. And then all you have to apply some self-discipline to it. And then you'll do it. Then you'll be it.
Dude. And like even like reaching out to Rob and going meeting Rob in Kava, right? Like, dude, when I got to Florida, I had a realization over there, even like sparring with these guys. Like we put these guys on these pedestals. Like they're just cheeseburger eating, nose picking dudes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's right, dude. Like, that's so fucking true. That's
so true. Yeah. And so I end up in college, and like that's why I'm like, and then I listen to Tim Ferriss, and he's talking about, you know, getting a hold of unreachable people. So I just start blowing them up. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
what I do, dude. That's what I do. So I don't know how much you read into the kind of stuff that I do, but there's some guys, I'm sure you've heard of Jocko. You've heard of Jocko Willink. You know who he is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Discipline is freedom.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you've watched the Joe Rogan podcast, I'm sure. I mentioned Jordan Peterson. You've heard of him. Well, there are some guys that are not a step down, but are doing stuff that's a little more specialized than that. One guy's name is Ryan Mickler. Another guy's name is Jack Donovan. And these guys write books about masculinity and the kind of stuff that I'm doing. And I'm just like, I'm just going to fucking start hitting these guys up on social media. And eventually I got Jack's cell phone number, and I can text him. I can call him and ask him questions. Like if I get in a jam, I'll be like, "Hey Jack, this thing's going on, dude. What would you do?" He's like, "Well, let me tell you this story," and he'll kind of help me out. But he was like, so awesome. It's so easy to put him on this pedestal, but they're just dudes, and they've chosen this path that puts them in front of you. And that also was a big realization for me when you said that. I'm like, "Yep, I remember when I crossed that bridge." Again, answers always no if you don't ask. So I'm going to ask, like Warren Farrell, this guy who wrote a book that I uses research a lot in the stuff that I do. The book's called The Boy Crisis. And this dude's like fucking important. Like he was on Jordan Peterson's show. Like he's way up there. And I sent him an email. I'm like, "Hey man, here's who I am. I just finished this book. I would love a review from you. Here's my website. You can take a look at what I'm all about." And this morning I got an email back from him. "Hey Travis, good to hear from you."
Dude, that's awesome, bro.
Like, yeah, just get out there, dude. Give it a shot. I don't want to lay back wondering, like, you know, like I said, I'm a single guy. If I'm out, like I'm at the gym or something, I try to keep this out of the gym because I like to just work when I'm there. But if I'm at a bar, someplace, a restaurant, and see a good looking woman and she smiles at me or whatever, I'm going to go talk to her because I don't want to leave there going, "I wonder what would have happened if I would have."
Right.
Right,
dude.
Those things like looking back, like on your, you know, I talk about like looking back on your deathbed, but shit, let's just talk about your fucking Thursday night bed. Do you want to be looking back on your day going, "Hey, did I do this? Do I want to worry what might have happened, or would I rather? I'd rather crash and burn. I'll crash and burn 9 times out of 10. I'm fine with that because once, it worked.
Yes,
you know?
for
and that's fine with me.
I tell that to my clients. Like one of my clients, he's like so worried. Well, what if I start this business and it's not going to work?
You'll figure it out.
And I said, no. That was like, say it doesn't. Say it all goes to shit.
Yep.
Where you at?
Exactly where you started. That's where you are at that point.
Yep.
But you're smarter at that point. You've experienced a little more downside, and there's no downside. And I'll tell you, there's nothing Jordan Peterson says is not taking a risk is a fucking risk. It's a risk because you're risking all those things that you might have if you had taken that risk.
There's a quote that says that too. It says, "If you never take a risk, you risk it all." Right?
It's true.
By never taking a risk, you risk it all. You know?
Yeah, I like that. I'll write that one down.
Yeah. And man, I love it, man. And honestly, I'm obsessed with self-development. And you know,
me too.
I launched this 45-day challenge January 1st. I got like 35 people doing this challenge with me. And I'm doing these live videos every day. Like just giving them value about mindset.
Where are you doing it? So these are the people who have have bought your system, and you're sending these videos just to them, the live videos.
So we're in a Facebook group, but I would love to give you some of them because I love them. Like I'm gonna keep them and record them and put them into like as bonuses in my group coaching program. But yeah, so I got like 35 people. Like some of them are in California, some of them are in Utah. But most of them are right here in town in Billings because I had a pretty big local following, you know, here from MMA and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot like what Rob Dial did in his Iron Mind 60. I was like, dude, that thing changed my life so much. I want to do something like that. And like every day I'm doing value in this Facebook group. And I was like, by doing it, I was like, damn, I do know a lot of this shit. And my wife goes, "You've been obsessed with self-development for 5 years." She's like, "That's a master's degree." And I'm like,
"Oh, it's more than that, dude. That's a PhD, bro."
Hell yeah. I'm like, yeah, man, that's awesome, man. And dude, so I just love it. And what I love most of all, man, is after everything I did, dude, like even I had this moment in MMA too. I was like, wow, this is my job. Like, you know what I mean? Like I get to do this. And now I'm like I said, I'm obsessed with self-development. I like sit here sometimes. I'm like, this is what I do for work. This is awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, that
the fact
perspective
that
is
I can
sweet.
get so pumped up about what I'm doing today is just awesome. You know?
Yeah. So what you just real briefly, you got that the morning routine. Is it just the
Oh
workouts
yeah.
or
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
talking about your
So,
Rob Dial?
oh yeah, man. Okay, so mine, and that's what I love about Rob Dowell. He says, you know, like he'll give you ideas of what he does, but then everything kind of evolves into what fits for you, right?
Mhm.
So for me, coming from where I came from, you know, dealt with a big paradigm of I'm not enough, right? My mom was an addict. I
It's
was
a
always
common
wearing
feeling.
always wearing secondhand clothes. You know what I mean? And like we don't realize how much we need to program our mind. You're reprogramming 35 years of
Yep.
crap, you know?
Yep.
So here's my morning routine. I wake up at 4:45. The first thing I do, because when you first wake up, your brain is in theta state, which is the same state that you're in, but from 0 to 6, right? When you're 0 to 6 years old, your brain's in theta state. So your
Okay.
brain is like a sponge. You just everything you see and everything you do or hear, you just soak it up, right? Well,
Really? Okay. I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
good shit.
So when you first wake up, your brain is in that theta state because like
So then you're trying to be prescriptive about what you put in front of yourself at that point?
yeah. So the very first thing I do when I wake up is I take you know what mala beads are? It's like a prayer necklace. It's a Buddhist like necklace, but it's a lot like a rosary. It's like
I know what that is.
beads.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have one of those, and I get everything ready the night before, right? So I'll journal my nightly recap in my journal. Sometimes I'll block the time that I have for my schedule for the next day. I'll put my clothes in my gym bag, put it by the front door. I hang my hoodie up where I'm just going to put it on right when I wake up. And I got my mala beads right there, right? I grab the mala beads, put my hoodie on, and I go sit down. Like first thing, I try to pee if I have to pee, but first thing I do is I go sit down and I meditate. I sit on my couch and I do an affirmation meditation. And this is actually a meditation that Rob Dial taught me. And you massage the bead, right? There's 108 beads on this necklace. You massage each bead and say an affirmation for each bead. So I'll literally sit there and I'm like,
could be a long morning, bro.
What's that?
Could be a long morning. 108.
No. You go really fast, bro.
Okay.
It literally this meditation only takes me about 8 minutes. Like
Okay.
literally, I go. I am confident and worthy as a coach and speaker. I am confident and worthy. I am confident and worthy as a coach and speaker. I am confident and worthy, right? Or another one.
Oh, so you're saying the same one? Okay, I thought you'd come up with 108 different ones. I'm like, man, I might be there for a week.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
Same one. I'm trying to reprogram my mind to tell myself that I am good enough, right? I'll mix it up about halfway through. I'll change it to I am the most impactful coach and speaker in the world. I am worth millions. I am the most impactful coach and speaker in the world. I am with millions. Right. And then I read, and you know, a lot of people. This is another hack for everybody. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't have time to read." Really? Well, 90% of every human being takes their fucking cell phone to the bathroom when they take a shit.
That's exactly
right.
Just
take a book. Just take a book instead of your
found time. Or you know what? Get an Audible subscription and listen to books while you're driving or while you're doing anything else. That's found time. That's easy to do.
For sure. And so I read while I take a shit first thing in the morning. And then after I'm done with, because I just have like a schedule for that.
Sure.
And then after that,
yeah, me too.
I journal. Yeah, me too. Yeah. I journal before I go to the gym, right? I'll sit there and I'll journal for about 10, 15 minutes. And when I journal, it's not like Dear Diary journal. It's I psychoanalyze myself. Okay. So your brain is only purpose is to keep you alive. It solves problems to keep you alive. So if you write out a question, your mind will answer it. So that's how I journal, right? I journal like, you know, what's the one thing I can do today to get me closer to my goals or whatever, you know, say I had a rough day the day before, I'll journal about that. And then I get in my car and I go to the gym. And my whole fucking trip to the gym, I'm yelling affirmations at myself. I'm getting pumped up, and I'm awesome. Just telling myself, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm rich, you know, just these affirmations, man. And you know, and and then I get to the gym. I do a mindful meditation in the sauna. So I try to like clear my mind, you know.
Oh, you're sauna guy. Me too, dude. I built one at my cabin. It's wood fired, right? So it's not a big building, but it's all cedar lined, and I put a wood stove in there. So I just get that sucker boiling. It'll go up to like 240. That's too much. Like I can't handle it that hot. Usually about 180.
Right.
Good for me. But man, I love the sauna. I love the sauna.
Me too.
Great shit.
I do a lot of work in the sauna because I'll do that mindful meditation, which is pretty much just like clearing my mind. It'll be like 8 minutes, you know, just focusing on my breath. Well, then I put on either affirmations in my ear, or I put on a Hindu mantra, and I don't count, dude, when I lift weights anymore. Okay.
Really?
I go, I am successful. I have no stress or anxiety. I am, dude, and it works. I've been doing that one thing for about a year and a half. And, you know, going from training, resting, to starting a business was a lot of stress. And I think I have literally told myself that I don't have any stress or anxiety, and just like reprogram my mind.
Well, you know? Dude, and that stress is a thing that, you know, people go bananas for that shit. But I say this all the time, and I say it in the new book, that there is no, and I always pick up this thing here, there is no like stress emitting beacon that's stuck to your boss or stuck to your wife or stuck to your job that boom, pulses out stress. You decide that you're going to let that shit affect you. That's what it is.
Exactly.
You make the choice to be like, well, yeah, this bad thing is happening. Like, you know, with your mother. I mean, that's a thing that's going to stress you, and there's not much you can do about that. But the things that are outside of your immediate close circle, yeah, dude, you can decide. You can decide, like you said, you can talk yourself into not being. You really can, because it's not a real thing. You assign that stress. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hitler says, you tell somebody long enough, and I think he proved this too, right? If you tell somebody something long enough, they're going to believe it. You can tell them a lie long enough, they're going to believe it. Same thing with yourself. You tell yourself the same, like that's what people don't understand. Like
self-talk is huge.
Even if it's not true, just say it to yourself over and over and over and over again. I'll do those affirmations. Like it's become a habit now. Like I don't even count. I just go till failure or like where I think I'm around 10 or 12, and I'm just repeating the affirmations. And then after I lift, I go back into the sauna or the steam room, and I lay down in there, and I get a good sweat, but I visualize my day like happening it the way I want it to happen, and then I visualize the future, right? So like I visualize like my perfect day. I have just numerous different visualizations. I love visualizing myself on stage, talking in front of thousands of people. And I try to feel it, right? And that's the other thing with the affirmation meditation that I do when I first wake up. Like as I'm saying those, I try to like picture and feel something that's making me confident and worthy, right? Or you know what I mean? I try to visualize it and feel the affirmations. And then that's about 15 minutes, and then I get out and I go straight into a cold shower, you know, and that cold shower is your discipline, man. That's your you know. Yeah.
So I haven't started I used to do a cold plunge at the gym that I used to belong to.
Oh,
It wasn't super cold. I think it was like 60 degrees, which, you know, it'll shock you if you're not used to it. But I go up to my waist, get my hips and my knees taken care of. I was just like inflammation control. But
for sure,
I know I got to get to that. Like Aubrey Marcus's book, Own the Day, Own Your Life. I don't know if you read that.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
One of the founders of On It.
So good.
He talks about the cold showers a lot, and I got to work.
Man, I love Aubrey Marcus too. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's an impressive guy. Have you actually met him or talked to him or anything yet? Because I've reached out to him too, and he's been a shut door every time I've tried.
You know, I think he's just busy as shit.
I'm sure. I think he is too.
I honestly though have never met him, but he is really good friends with Rob Dial. Like they're close.
Okay.
Like they've both been on each other's podcasts, and they both live in Austin, Texas. And honestly, what's really crazy is that guy I was just telling you about, Drew McManus. He's the lead singer of Satsang, that band I was telling you about.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
You should look him up, man. His music, first of all, is freaking amazing, but he's actually really good friends with Aubrey Marcus now too. Because so Satsang, it's Satsang, and then his name's Drew McManus. You could try to get him on your podcast. He'd probably do it, man. He's a really, really good guy. So his music, man,
I see him.
It's like kind of this mix between like reggae and like folk and like kind of like blues a little bit. Not really blues, but
says he's clean and sober too. That's cool.
He is, bro. He's been sober, but also, man, what I love about his music, and he was actually on Hal Elrod's podcast purely because of this. if you sing his music, and this is why I implemented it into my family's life so much, is if you're sitting there singing his music, you're singing positive affirmations. Every song he has is like in depth and in tune into self-development. It's amazing.
Dude, I'm going to pull him up and make a Pandora station over this guy. That sounds pretty good.
You should, dude. He's amazing, bro. And so he's a good friend of mine. We've been rolling and training together, before he really launched, but now his band's getting really popular. He lives up here in Red Lodge, Montana. And like I say, he's just an amazing, he used to sponsor me when I was doing MMA. And he's just an amazing guy. But yeah, man, if you could get Aubrey Marcus, dude, I'd try too, man.
Give me time, dude. I'm going to crawl through broken glass to get to him.
That's awesome, bro. I know you will.
Hey, bro, we just went 2 hours. And
that's good.
I got another guy coming up. I'm talking to this guy named Chris Otto. I'm excited to see him. But man, Shane, dude, thanks. And I feel like we have a lot in common here. And
let's keep talking, bro.
For sure. So I'm gonna hit you up on Instagram, where I'm gonna DM you, and I'll give you my contact information. If you would send me your address, I've got a little package of stuff that I want to send you, and include, if you would, include your wife's T-shirt size, if you would. Because I know I can look at you and tell what you're wearing. Okay.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna send you some stuff, and we'll go from there.
Heck yeah, man. Dude, and HAVOC Mindset. That's my coaching business. So everybody.
What else you got to plug? I'm gonna have. I'll put up your graphics, and I'll put up your handle on TikTok, on Instagram. I'll put up all your stuff.
Thank you.
What do you want them to know?
Oh man, so like I said, use your convictions and your past struggles as stepping stones, man. Use them as a catapult to catapult you forward. And yeah, man, HAVOC Mindset is going to be huge. I want it to be a standard of coaching. Eventually, I think I'll start coaching coaches on top of just coaching people. And the idea behind HAVOC Mindset is like everything, everything turns, everything will wreak havoc before it blossoms into beauty, right? So everything will just completely go to shit before it becomes this beautiful masterpiece, right? So that's the idea behind my the name of my coaching program. And Ian Pickering's my business partner. I got to give him a shout out because he's honestly the behind the scenes guy that it just makes everything amazing. He's done our logo. He does a lot of the the typing, the programming, the integrator work. But yeah, my Instagram, Shane HAVOC 101. For anybody that wants to follow me on Instagram, look me up on Facebook at Shane Fichter, HAVOC Mindset on Facebook, and then also I have been doing TikTok a lot lately, and that's I think HAVOC Mindset as well. And yeah, man, thank you, dude. I appreciate for having me on here.
Yeah, Shane, dude, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for sharing your story. You guys I'll put up all the graphics for Shane's stuff. Go out and watch his videos. Listen to this dude. Obviously, after hearing this podcast, you know how positive he is and what kind of good things he's going to do for the world. And people like this you need to support. There's no doubt about it. Shane, thanks again, brother. I can't wait to see how our relationship develops. And
me too. I can't wait to see you in person.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to happen. In the meantime,
where do you live?
I live in Michigan. I live about 50 miles north of Detroit. For now, I'm going to move further north.